A woman came in, normal clothes. We get down the hallway, and she closes the door. They were accusing me of child abuse.
And that's when the real nightmare begins.
Hey, calm down.
No, it's my children. I can't calm down.
Do No Harm, a new podcast series from NBC News and Wondery. First 2 episodes available Tuesday. Subscribe for free wherever you get your podcasts.
I wore my snowshoes.
Hashtag blessed on that one.
I am a purebred Mormon.
I'm Pentecostal.
It is a very big deal that I'm no longer Mormon.
I was raised Mormon, but I'm converting to Islam.
Assalamu alaikum, bitches.
Perfection is attainable.
She's a bitch.
Go away.
Amen. The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City premieres Wednesday at 10, only on Bravo. Set your DVR.
Welcome back. As the nation sits in a little suspense trying to figure who the next president will be, we can tell you we expect to hear from former Vice President Joe Biden in Wilmington here very shortly. Jeff Bennett is at the headquarters there. What can you tell us, Jeff?
Hey, Lester, good evening. Well, I can tell you I can hear sirens off in the distance and a helicopter flying above, which suggests to me that Joe Biden's motorcade is set to make its way here any minute now. And I can tell you that earlier today, the expectation among campaign staffers was that that shot you're seeing right there on your screen, that this parking lot would have been full and that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would have been on that outdoor stage delivering their victory speeches. But with this race too close to call, that plan was put on hold. And what they're going to do instead is speak to America, speak to the assembled cameras and reporters from inside. And there's a reason for that approach. All during this campaign, Joe Biden's core value proposition has been that he is the polar opposite of Donald Trump. And whereas President Trump earlier this week preemptively and falsely declared himself the winner of the race, Joe Biden has made clear that it's not up to Joe Biden or Donald Trump to declare themselves the victors. It's up to the American people to make that determination. And that determination hinges on an independent declaration of the results. And because the race has not been called, we are told that Joe Biden instead is going to offer something of a progress report. He's going to express confidence in the process, and he's also going to make clear that when all the votes are counted, as he said before, that he is certain, he feels, that he and Senator Harris will emerge victorious from all of this. I have to tell you, we've been on the receiving end of calls and texts from antsy and irritated campaign staffers wondering why this race hasn't been called, given the trajectory of it as they see it. But when I talk to people about the candidate himself, he's described as being relaxed and being reflective. And there's a reason for that. Joe Biden, I'm told, has been thinking about this moment for some 3 decades. He first announced his presidential bid in 1988, and since then has been thinking about how he would govern if given the chance. Lester.
All right, Jeff Bennett there in Wilmington. Thanks.
I think everyone in the country is getting antsy and irritated texts from someone they know. People are really hoping that, yes, exactly, that this election will be called, but we wait for the votes to be counted. Let's see what's going on with the Trump campaign. Chief White House correspondent Hallie Jackson at her post tonight. Hi, Hallie.
Hi, Savannah. I can tell you, based on some conversations over the last couple of hours as we're coming on the air, there is a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking going on in and around the White House and the Trump campaign, wondering how the president got into this spot. Questions about the legal team, the legal messaging that is now in place as the president pushes forward, with the best path to victory being, frankly, through the court system. As you are seeing now, these challenges that the campaign is mounting, 6 different active lawsuits right now in a couple of different states. That is something that is the focus right now for the president. I'm told that President Trump, over the course of the day, has come to understand, based on sources I've talked to tonight, frankly, the grim reality that is in place now. As we're seeing where these numbers are, as we're seeing where the numbers are going, he understands it is an uphill climb. He's not necessarily happy about it as the person who is hoping to win back the White House, but I'm told that he is in this sort of fighting stance, this fighting mode. That is at least the framing that we're hearing about both publicly and privately about this, fighting, again, through the legal path and figuring out what options are available to him, looking at every possible scenario. It's why we don't expect if this race gets to this point where it ends up called, and again, it is very clear that we are not there yet based on those antsy and irritated text messages everybody's getting. But if it gets to that point, that's why you should not expect an immediate concession with President Trump. We're told that the president is likely not going to do that until after canvasses, recounts, certifications, et cetera, are done. That's not until, I think the latest one is the beginning of December 1st for the state of Wisconsin. So we're looking at a fairly long path here. What's interesting is that over the last 4 years, we are now sort of in this campaign wrapping up as we did the campaign 4 years ago with factionalism and with finger pointing. That really is the sense of things that we're hearing tonight.
All right, Hallie Jackson, thanks so much. We'll be back with more Decision 2020 election coverage right after this short break.
I didn't know, was my child dead? Is my child passed out?
I just kept saying, please be okay, please be okay.
You rush your child to the hospital.
A woman came in, normal clothes. We get down the hallway, she closes the door. They were accusing me of child abuse.
And that's when the real nightmare begins.
Hey, calm down. No, it's my children. I can't calm down.
Do No Harm, a new podcast series from NBC News and Wondery. First 2 episodes available Tuesday. Subscribe for free wherever you get your podcasts.
I wore my snowshoes.
Hashtag blessed on that one.
I'm a purebred Mormon.
I'm Pentecostal.
It is a very big deal that I'm no longer Mormon.
I was raised Mormon, but I'm converting to Islam.
Assalamu alaikum, bitches.
Perfection is attainable.
She's a bitch. Go away.
Amen.
The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City premieres Wednesday at 10, only on Bravo. Set your DVR.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Remember that deep breath moment I spoke of on election eve? Maybe you could begin to let it out. No, this isn't over yet, but the votes are being counted. Not as fast as we want, but democracy is working, and we're proving once again that it is our voices that count. Biden headquarters in Wilmington, Delaware, where we expect momentarily to see Joe Biden come out and address, looks like some supporters in the car there, and kind of give us a status update. I think it's fair to say that he was wishing he'd be out here at this time to celebrate victory, but that call has not come right now. But he will be in front of the camera.
Yeah, I think that was the plan at the beginning of the day, but Pennsylvania came in and has extra votes that need to be counted, and then not right there yet, ready to be called. But you were saying, Chuck, I mean, we were sort of making a joke about how people are antsy and irritated and anxious. You know, fair enough. This has been quite a different election in a pandemic. You've had all this mail-in voting. You've got states with 50 different rules, and people are tired of waiting. But you were talking about the ultimate outcome here.
So this is what I'm sure is frustrating for people watching this, which is they're looking at, well, Biden leads in all these states, and he doesn't need all of them to get to his 270. Donald Trump needs a lot of things to happen, not just Pennsylvania. And so, and we really have never been in a situation like this where, in some ways, you could be far more certain of who's going to get 270 electoral votes, but less certain about which of the combination of states is going to get him there. And so we are in this unique situation where we're not quite at certainty of Arizona, not at certainty in Nevada, not at certainty in Georgia or in Pennsylvania, but reverse engineer it. It is much harder for Donald Trump to figure out how to reverse this.
And here is former Vice President Joe Biden about to take the podium.
Good evening, my fellow Americans. We don't have a final declaration of victory yet, but the numbers tell us it's clear. Tell us a clear and convincing story. We're going to win this race. Just look at what has happened since yesterday. 24 hours. We were behind in Georgia. Now we're ahead, and we're going to win that state. 24 hours ago, we were behind in Pennsylvania, and we are going to win Pennsylvania. And now we're ahead, but we're winning in Arizona, we're winning in Nevada, and in fact, our lead just doubled in Nevada. We're on track to over 300 electoral college votes. And look at the national numbers. We're going to win this race with a clear majority of the nation behind us. We've gotten over 74 million votes. Let me repeat that, 74 million votes. That's more than any presidential ticket has ever gotten in the history of the United States of America. And our vote total is still growing. We're beating Donald Trump by over 4 million votes. And that's a margin is still growing as well. One of the things I'm especially proud of is how well we've done across America. And we're going to be the first Democrat to win in Arizona in 24 years. We're going to be the first Democrat to win Georgia in 28 years. And we've rebuilt the blue wall in the middle of the country that crumbled just 4 years ago. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, the heartland of this nation. I know watching these vote tallies on TV moves very slow, and as slow as it goes, it can be numbing. But never forget, the tallies aren't just numbers. They represent votes and voters, men and women who exercise their fundamental right to have their voice heard. And what's becoming clear each hour is that record number of Americans of all races, faiths, religions chose change over more of the same. They've given us a mandate for action on COVID, the economy, climate change, systemic racism. They made it clear they want the country to come together, not continue to pull apart. The people spoke, more than 74 million Americans, and they spoke loudly for our ticket. But while we're waiting for the final results, I want people to know we're not waiting to get the work done and start the process. Yesterday, Senator Harris and I held meetings with groups of experts on public health and the economic crisis this country is facing. The pandemic, as you also know, is getting more worrisome all across the country. Daily cases are skyrocketing, and it's now believed that we could see as many as 200,000 cases in a single day. The death toll is approaching 240,000 lives lost to this virus. That's 240,000 empty chairs, kitchen tables, and dining room tables all across America. We'll never be able to measure all that pain and the loss, the suffering that so many families have experienced. We know something about what it feels like to lose someone. And I want them to know they're not alone. Our hearts break with you. We want everyone to know on day one, we're going to put our plan to control this virus into action. We can't save any of the lives lost, any of those who have been lost, but we can save a lot of lives in the months ahead. Senator Harris and I also heard yesterday about how this recovery is slowing because of the failure to get the pandemic under control. More than 20 million people are on unemployment. Millions are worried about making rent and putting food on the table. Our economic plan will put a focus on a path to a strong recovery. Look, we both know tensions are high. They can be high after a tough election, one like we've had. But we need to remember, we have to remain calm, patient. Let the process work out as we count all the votes. You know, we're proving again what we've proved for 244 years in this country. Democracy works. Your vote will be counted. I don't care how hard people try to stop it. I will not let it happen. The people will be heard. Our journey is toward a more perfect union, and it keeps moving on. In America, we hold strong views. We have strong disagreements, and that's okay. Strong disagreements are inevitable in a democracy, and strong disagreements are healthy. They're a sign of a vigorous debate, of deeply held views. But we have to remember the purpose of our politics isn't total, unrelenting, unending warfare. No, the purpose of our politics, the work of the nation, isn't to fan the flames of conflict, but to solve problems, to guarantee justice, to give everybody a fair shot, and to improve the lives of our people. We may be opponents, but we're not enemies. We're Americans. No matter who you voted for, I'm certain of one thing. The vast majority of almost 150 million Americans who voted, they want to get the vitriol out of our politics. We're certainly not going to agree on a lot of issues, but at least we can agree to be civil with one another. We have to put the anger and the demonization behind us. It's time for us to come together as a nation to heal. It's not going to be easy, but we have to try. My responsibility as president will be to represent the whole nation. And I want you to know that I'll work as hard for those who voted against me as those who voted for me. That's the job. That's the job. It's called the duty of care for all Americans. We have serious problems to deal with, from COVID to the economy to racial justice to climate change. We don't have any more time to waste on partisan warfare. You know, and more than that, we have such an incredible opportunity to build the future we want for our kids and our grandkids. I've said many, many times, I've never been more optimistic about the future of this nation. There is no reason we can't own the 21st century. We just need to remember who we are. This is the United States of America. And there's never been anything we've been unable to do, unable to accomplish when we've done it together. I hope to be talking to you tomorrow. I want to thank you all, and may God bless you, and may God protect our troops. Good night.
Well, we heard a lot of the themes you would hear if that was a victory speech.
How about I hope to be talking to you tomorrow was an interesting line.
I think it was a victory speech.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really interesting that the themes were the themes that he rode to victory. If it's going to be a victory, that's what he's been focusing on. COVID, solving the economic problems, linking those together, healthcare, and unifying the country. That was the message he's trying to deliver.
I think it's also important to remember here, as everyone is increasingly anxious and worried about the fact that this race has not yet been called by us or other networks, that Joe Biden again emphasized trust the process. He said, patience, be patient. And that, we should underscore, I think, is something we haven't heard a lot of from this president. It's a contrast with what we've had from President Trump for 4 years, to have somebody who is getting up there and saying, no, let them do it right. Even if it's not fast, even if it's not instant gratification, do it right. And I think that's a message to his supporters.
Maybe it's a message to his own campaign. They seem to be pretty anxious for this to end. But, you know, I think that was important that he was preaching calm. I mean, frankly, it's like just calm the waters. It's okay. It's going to take time.
It's been his whole presidential campaign.
It is. And frankly, he has the luxury of that, as we said. It seems pretty hard to imagine how he's not the one that ends up with 274 votes.
Counseling patience is a little easier when you think you are on the cusp of winning. What are Republicans saying to you, Casey, about the White House posture of fight, 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 fight to the death?
I actually think there's a lot of concern because the president is clearly ginning up many people who believe the things he says, and they feel that there's a vacuum that's filling with conspiracy theories that may actually make it a little bit harder to govern. I think many rank-and-file Republicans are really frustrated with the president. It's clear, as we've pointed out, he doesn't really have a credible path to win. And so that continuing to be out there is actually a real problem for them.
Well, his headline, he says, we are going to win this race. And he said, hope to see you tomorrow. We will see you tomorrow. NBC News will continue to follow this story.